Well, hello, and thank you for joining us today. I've always been told there's no such thing as magic in business. And I believe that until I came across Pareto's law. Pareto was an Italian economist, and he observed that 20% of your customers typically did 80% of your business. Now, this can work for products, it can work for people owing you money, it can work for errors. There are tremendous applications for that. But let's start with just customers for the moment and sales. Many people have heard of the 80-20 rule. The question then becomes, how do you use it? And I'm going to suggest that you want to use it by, first of all, focusing on ranking reports in terms of how you look at your customers and sales. Now, I did a quick worksheet here. Let me take a look at, let me share it with you. This is pretty cool. All right, here we are. What I'm going to suggest is you rank your reports, a sales by customer report. You rank them high to low by their sales volume. And then when you do that, I'm going to ask you to go back and segment them and draw a couple lines. One is after 5%. The other is after 10% of your customers. And then 20%, and this is the number of your customers. So if you had 3,000 customers, 20% would be after 600, and there'd be 2,400 customers below that. 10% would be 300, 5% would be 150. And the power of this is that the top 5% of your customers are doing 35% of your business. The top 10% are doing 50% of your business, and the top 20% are doing 80% of your business. Now, the inverse is also true, which means the rest, the bottom 80% of your customers, are only doing 20% of your sales. But that is a topic for another day. When we look at these ranking reports, I'm going to suggest that the next step that you have to take a look at is really, and let me get us back here. Here we are. What the next step is really go back and look at how you segment your customers. What do you do differently? How do you make them feel special? But importantly, how do you add value to the transaction? How do you add value to the relationship? How do you increase their switching costs? What steps can you take to make it harder for your competition to steal them? That's the power in this. And let's start with something very basic, which is how many of your top customers, how many members of their senior management team do you know? And how many members of their senior management team know people in your company? You know, a good customer of mine once described it as strands in a rope. If there's only one strand, if your sales rep or only one person knows the customer, it's easy for that rope to break. But the more people that have relationships on both sides, the harder it is to break that rope, and the stronger the bond is with your customer. Let me ask a couple key questions here, and let's go over to the whiteboard to do that. Obviously, I'm having fun with my new camera here as we're tracking through all this. Here are the questions that I'm going to ask you to ask yourself and your team. Have you met, and how many members of your top customers' management teams have you met? What is your top customers' plan for their growth? And what can you do to help them succeed in that? Because the easiest way to get them to buy more is to have them grow and just use more of your product or service. Then importantly, what can you do to make it easier for them to buy from you? With one client, one customer we had, who was our number one customer, what we found is they had 5 buyers that we dealt with, which we thought was tremendous. When we got to know them better and actually went out to visit them, we found there are over 20 locations that they could buy from. And then we got their list of products that they bought from us with their product numbers, not ours, and their pricing, and made sure we put that in the hands of each of their buyers. to make it very easy for them to order in their language, their terminology from us, and to get the pricing rate each time. Amazingly, what that led to is we doubled the amount of business we did with our number one customer. We had no idea until we got out and met them and really got to understand how they operate and how they work. Let's take it one more level. What other products are your top accounts buying that they could buy from you? Would you have to stock something else? Is it understanding where their business is going? Do they know everything they could buy from you? Now, here's some of the tougher questions to ask. What do they like least about doing business with you? What for them is a pain? And obviously, can you take some of those pain points away? From their perspective, what can you do to improve? That's important in any relationship, to make sure that it's a two-way communication. And simply put, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would they rate you? And how would they rate you against their top accounts? Are you their top account? And if not, why not? The power of Pareto's law is that it can help you focus in a time with limited resources in terms of time and money by focusing on your top 5%, your top 10%, your top 20% of your accounts, making sure you're playing both defense with them and then offense in terms of helping them grow, adding in those extra services, those extra procedures that make your bonds much stronger. That's going to ensure your future. Because when you look at this, your customers really are your future. My name is Mike Tetro. I'm an executive coach, and I lead a Vistage peer advisory group for CEOs. I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for taking a deep dive into leadership. I look forward to seeing you on our next dive. Bye for now.